Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the swirling dramas, shocking twists, and heart-pounding revelations of Days of Our Lives. Today, we're unleashing a bold new prediction that's sure to send chills down your spine and keep you glued to your screens. Picture this: the shadowy corridors of the DiMera mansion, whispers of betrayal halls, and the lakes of the name question if the legend quotes as Stefano DiMera. Perfect hasn't though you really read that? Wifey and Sarang's supposed demise is no more than a grand misunderstanding. Or worse, a meticulously crafted deception by none other than the mad genius Dr. Wilhelm Rolf?
Imagine the chaos that would ensue if that skeleton, so confidently identified as Stefano's, turns out to be a red herring. A body swapped in a plot so diabolical it could only come from the twisted minds that populate this iconic soap opera. If your pulse is racing at the mere thought, you're not alone. Stick with us as we unravel this speculation in all its dramatic glory, exploring every angle, every clue, and every potential ramification. Watch this video to the end for our full breakdown, and let's speculate together on what could be one of the most explosive storylines in Days of Our Lives history. To set the stage, we must first journey back into the labyrinthine history of Stefano DiMera, a character whose very name evokes images of power, manipulation, and an almost supernatural ability to cheat death. Played masterfully by the late Joseph Mascolo, Stefano has been the ultimate villain in Salem since his debut in 1982. He's orchestrated kidnappings, brainwashings, corporate takeovers, and romantic entanglements that have left generations of characters reeling. Remember the infamous Phoenix moniker? It wasn't just a nickname, it symbolized his uncanny knack for rising from the ashes time and time again. We've seen him die in plane crashes, shootings, explosions, and even at the hands of his own enemies, only to reemerge stronger, more vengeful, and with a devilish grin that promised more torment for the Bradys, Hortons, and anyone else who dared cross him. His influence has permeated every corner of Salem, from the DiMera enterprises to the personal lives of his sprawling family tree. Sons like EJ, Chad, Tony, and the late Andre have all carried his legacy, often with a mix of pride and dread. Daughters like Kristen and Lexi have mirrored his cunning intellect. And then there's the extended web adoptive children, long-lost heirs, and alliances forged in fire. Stefano wasn't just a man, he was an empire, a force of nature that bent the rules of mortality itself. Now, fast forward to the turbulent events unfolding in Salem as we enter 2026. The air is thick with tension, the kind that makes every conversation feel like a potential landmine. At the center of this storm is Susan Banks, that quirky, endearing psychic whose intuitions have proven eerily accurate more times than we can count. Susan, portrayed with delightful eccentricity by Stacey Haydock, who also doubles as the fierce Kristen DiMera, has been adamant in her conviction that Stefano DiMera is still alive. Her visions, her gut feelings, they all scream that the Phoenix hasn't truly perished. And why shouldn't we trust her? Susan's track record is impressive. She's foreseen dangers, uncovered secrets, and even navigated the bizarre world of multiple personalities and doppelgangers that Days of Our Lives loves to throw at us. In recent episodes, her insistence has grown more fervent, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and certainty as she warns anyone who will listen. He's out there, she might whisper in a hushed tone, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken horrors. The Phoenix rises, always, but in the face of mounting evidence or what appears to be evidence, Susan has been forced to confront doubt. Yet, what if her intuition is spot on? What if the so-called proof of Stefano's death is just another layer in a deception so profound it could shatter the fragile peace in Salem? Enter Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, the enigmatic scientist whose loyalties have always been as slippery as an eel in the Salem River. Rolf, with his wild-eyed experiments and unyielding devotion to the DiMera cause, has been a key player in many of Stefano's resurrections. Who could forget the times he's used cutting-edge technologisms, microchips, cryogenic preservation to bring the dead back to life? In a recent confession to EJ DiMera, Stefano's ambitious son, played by Dan Furigal, Rolf admitted that when he discovered Stefano's body, it was far too decomposed for any revival attempts. The flesh had withered away, he might have said in that thick accent, his face a mask of feigned regret. Even my genius has its limits. But pause for a moment and consider, is this the full truth, or just Rolf's addition, as some might slyly put it? Rolf has lied before, manipulated facts to suit his agendas, and even impersonated others in elaborate schemes. What if this admission is a smokescreen, designed to lull the DiMera audience into a false sense of closure? Imagine the drama if Rolf is secretly harboring Stefano in some hidden laboratory, tinkering with ways to restore him to full vitality. The implications are staggering. Alliances could shift, old grudges reignite, and Salem could once again become a battlefield for the DiMera Empire. This brings us to the heartbreaking confirmation of Stefano DiMera's death at the end of 2025. Plot twist that left fans reeling and characters devastated. Stefano's son with the formidable Vivian Alamein brought to life by the incomparable Lee Sorrell, was a character of complexity, charming yet ruthless, romantic yet calculating. His storyline had been a roller coaster, from his dramatic arrival in Salem as a long-lost DiMera heir, to his passionate affairs, corporate battles, and ultimately, his tragic end. Reports from the show indicate that Stefan's heart stopped beating after a series of intense confrontations, medical crises, and perhaps even foul play. Vivian, ever the protective mother, attempted to cover it up, forging documents, bribing officials, and spinning webs of lies to protect her son's legacy, or perhaps to hide something more sinister. But despite her efforts, the truth emerged. Stefan was gone, his body presumably laid to rest amid tears and turmoil. Or was it? Here's where our speculation takes a dark, thrilling turn. What if that skeleton, the one unearthed in the DiMera crypt and hastily identified as Stefano's, isn't the patriarch at all? What if it's Stefan's remains, swapped in a cunning ploy to divert attention? Let's delve deeper into this hypothesis, painting a vivid picture of how such a deception could unfold. The DiMera crypt, that eerie underground lair filled with marble tombs and flickering torchlight, has always been a hotspot for mysteries. It's where secrets are buried literally and where the past refuses to stay dead. Suppose, in the chaos following Stefan's death, Vivian, or an accomplice, perhaps Rolf himself, orchestrated a body switch. Stefan's corpse, still fresh in comparison to Stefano's supposed long-decomposed form, could have been placed in Stefano's designated spot. Why? To allow Stefano, who might have been in hiding or in a coma-like state engineered by Rolf, to bide his time and plan his grand return. The decomposition story Rolf fed to EJ could be a fabrication, a way to explain away inconsistencies without raising alarms. Imagine the scene: Rolf, in his dimly lit lab, surrounded by beeping machines and vials of glowing serums, chuckling to himself as he alters records and DNA samples. "The phoenix will rise," he mutters, his eyes gleaming with mad glee. Meanwhile, Susan's visions intensify. Flashes of Stefano's face, alive and scheming, superimposed over the skeletal remains. Her conviction grows, leading to confrontations with skeptics like EJ, who dismisses her as delusional, or Kristen, who secretly harbors her own doubts. The drama doesn't stop there. If Stefano is indeed alive, who else is in on the plot? Someone is pulling strings, weaving a tapestry of intrigue that could ensnare the entire town. Could it be Vivian, driven by her undying loyalty to Stefano and her grief over Stefan? She's no stranger to resurrection plots. After all, she's been dead herself multiple times. Or perhaps it's Dimitri von Leuschner DiMera, another branch of the family tree, lurking in the shadows with his own agendas. Recent spoilers hint at threats to Dimitri's life and Rolf's game-changing breakthrough. Could these be tied to Stefano's revival? Picture the family gathering at the mansion. EJ, sleek and ambitious, slipping on Stefano's ring as a symbol of leadership, only to be upstaged by the real Phoenix's return. Kristen, with her fiery temper, might initially rejoice, but then question loyalties. Chad, the more level-headed DiMera, could sense something amiss, leading to investigations that uncover buried truths. And Theo, the youngest, might be caught in the crossfire, his innocence shattered by the family's dark secrets. To appreciate the full weight of this speculation, we must recall Stefano's past deaths and how they've shaped the narrative of Days of Our Lives. In 1984, he was presumed dead in a plane explosion, only to return with a vengeance. The 1990s saw him die in a fire, then again in a shooting. Each time, the show masterfully built suspense, teasing audiences with clues: a shadowy figure, a familiar laugh, a pawn moved on the chessboard. The 2010s brought more twists: Stefano's brain tumor, his apparent suicide, and the revelation of his essence transferred into other bodies via Rolf's technology. Who remembers the Stefano arc, where Stefano's consciousness inhabited Steve Johnson's body? It was a tour de force of soap opera insanity, blending science fiction with emotional drama. If history is any guide, Stefano's current death feels too final, too tidy. The bones in the crypt. A convenient prop. The memorial service teased for early February 2026. Perhaps a smokescreen for his triumphant re-entry. Consider the ripple effects on Salem's other residents. The Bradys, eternal foes of the DiMeras, would be thrown into paranoia. Roman, with his gruff determination, might launch a covert investigation, dragging in allies like John Black, the former pawn-turned-hero. Marlena, the psychiatrist who's faced Stefano's mind games firsthand, could experience flashbacks, her therapy sessions turning into battlegrounds. The Hortons, symbols of goodness, might rally to protect their own, fearing Stefano's wrath. And what about the younger generation? Characters like Johnny DiMera or Ali Horton could uncover clues accidentally, leading to generational conflicts. The romance angles are endless. Stefano's return could sabotage budding relationships, reignite old flames, or force characters to choose sides in a war that spans decades. But let's heighten the drama even further. Suppose Stefano has been watching from afar, his surveillance network cameras hidden in portraits, bugs and chandeliers fighting him every detail of Salem's happenings. He's seen AJ's power grabs, Chris's schemes, and the family's fractures. His return wouldn't be subtle, it would be operatic, with thunderous music swelling as he steps from the shadows, his voice booming. Did you really think you could bury me? The confrontation with Susan would be poignant, the one who believed. Vindicated at last. Rolf's role would be revealed in an explosive confession, perhaps under duress, admitting to years of loyalty that bordered on obsession. And the skeleton. DNA tests rigged, bodies exhumed in midnight rituals. Revelations would cascade like dominoes, each one more shocking than the last. Of course, this is all speculation, born from the fertile ground of Days of Our Lives' penchant for the impossible. The show has thrived for over 60 years by defying logic, embracing the absurd, and rewarding fans with payoffs that feel both inevitable and surprising. Recent episodes have confirmed Stefan's death, with Vivian's cover-up failing spectacularly. But soaps are fluid. What seems set in stone today can crumble tomorrow. The memorial for Stefano, slated for that emotional Friday in early February, might indeed mark a goodbye, or it could be the prelude to Hello. Susan's forced admission of being wrong, a misdirection to heighten the twist.
As we wrap up this deep dive, the question lingers like a fog over Salem Harbor. Are our speculations correct? Is Stefano DiMera's a now triumph? Or will the bones prove irrefutable, closing the chapter on one of daytime television's greatest villains? Someone is plotting something, that much is certain. The air curls with possibility, the stakes higher than ever. We'll have to wait and see if this story unfolds as we predict, but one thing's for sure, Days of Our Lives never fails to deliver the drama. Stay tuned, subscribe to our channel for more predictions, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think, alive or dead? The Phoenix awaits.